Hey guys, Dopey here. If you've been watching the podcast, you might have been seeing some images pop up about Link's drawing contest. That is true. We have been having a drawing contest throughout the podcast, and we'll continue to have these little contests, throughout the podcast as we create them. So head on over to the forums right now. You'll see a thread made by Bandith, which will have the 3 images you saw throughout the podcast, and go ahead and give them a vote. Appreciate it, guys. Hey guys, Dopey here. We're going to go ahead and do something that we don't normally do here on the show. We recently got word that a former member had interest in coming back to the JAWA family. He was and is a good friend of ours who always brought humor to the table. And as of today, April 7th, welcoming back Shading Knight. Shading, the floor is yours, my friend. Welcome back, and if you have anything to say as a returning member, go ahead and do so.
I'm really glad to be back. I mean, there's tons of friends that I really enjoyed talking to. And I mean, I really did enjoy talking to them. It's just I had some things that came up, and I couldn't, I couldn't continue on with my little JAWA career, as if you want to call it. And so, that was in the way. But I was actually on the forums today, and I was like, maybe it's time to come back. I've done what the situation that was at hand has passed, and I thought it would be interesting to come back and talk to, all my friends and whatnot.
All right, Shaden, we appreciate it, buddy, and we'll, of course, hear more from you in the future.
Hey guys, welcome to the Star Wars discussion of the podcast. Today I'm here with Chryso, Diab, North Star, and Dopey. Let's give them a round of applause.
Hoorah!
Yeah, okay, so how you guys doing?
Not bad.
Doing pretty good.
Diab?
Still a bit hungry.
Alright, and Chryso's got his mic muted, so we'll be moving on. Okay, so first, for this Star Wars discussion, we're going to be focused on Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, the first prequel, not to be confused with A New Hope, which some people say is the first movie, which it is, but not in the chronological order, how George Lucas wants it. So, our first topic I'll go over, the general plot, for those of you who don't know, but I'm sure everyone really knows, but I'll touch up on it. So we got Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn, they're going on some mission to solve a trade dispute, and then they find out there's a giant invasion of his planet, and they have to rescue the day, and the Sith are back, and they kill a Sith. And yeah, that's just a general overview. And our first thing we're going to be discussing today are the characters, and we'll start with Liam Neeson's character, which is Qui-Gon Jinn. Let's see, Dopey, what's your opinion of Qui-Gon Jinn?
Right out of the box, Qui-Gon is, in my opinion, he was the top guy that you saw. I mean, he had, the green saber, which everyone, kind of portrays, the green saber being a little bit above blue, and then the statute of what color sabers really mean. He was he was also obviously the master, as opposed to Obi-Wan being the apprentice, so, he kind of set the tone for, I guess, how the leadership of the movie was going to be displayed as. From the beginning I liked him, but I think as the story kind of gone on, continued on progressing, Qui-Gon ended up kind of being the rebel. He kind of went against, he did his own thing. He was kind of the lone wolf, I guess, if you want to call it that. And then, at the end of the movie, he, almost sacrifices himself, or actually loses the battle against Maul for, Obi-Wan to ascend and become the grand hero of the story. So, a roundabout way, I dig Qui-Gon. I just think that they could have portrayed him a bit better and laid off that whole midichlorian bull crap. But that's my opinion.
Alright, what do you guys say, North Star?
Dude, it was Liam freaking Neeson. Do I need to say more?
We can all agree that Liam Neeson has been a great actor in a lot of movies.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Is that all you guys say?
That's all I have to say.
Okay, Forrest Gump, that's all I gotta say about that.
Life's a box of chocolates.
What do you gotta say, Diab?
Great actor, but the worst character in the Star Wars series ever.
Now that's
Alright.
arguable, but
Alright.
Yeah, I just,
Credits will do fine. No, they won't.
Admiral Akbar, he's got like one line throughout the whole movie.
It's a trap, and that made him famous.
It's famous.
Yeah, but I mean, he's terrible. Overall, just terrible.
No, Admiral Akbar is awesome.
He's better than Qui-Gon will ever be.
Never.
If Akbar was a Jedi, he'd be a better Jedi.
opinions expressed by Diab do not necessarily reflect those of the rest of the podcast. So if you end up stop listening now, it's all Diab's fault.
Wait.
Shut up, Toby.
Alright, I'm gonna go over my opinion of the character now. At first, he seemed like a really wise guy, you know, real mystical, stoic, stuff like that. But after a while, you just kind of, in my opinion, saw how much of a failed Jedi he was. So, like, he says in the beginning he doesn't sense anything, and Obi-Wan does sense something. And then a whole bunch of crap happens, the Sith return, and he didn't sense anything, but Obi-Wan did. Now, what does that tell you? He's not very smart.
And he's probably very old.
Yeah, he's
I
old,
mean-
but you also got to show that Obi-Wan taught one of the best Jedi in the whole universe. So, I mean, gotta be better than Qui-Gon ever was. Also,
He's still a Padawan, though.
But I mean, could Qui-Gon's, ignorance be a tool that helped molded Obi-Wan? I mean, purposefully, like sometimes the master or the teacher will, sort of force the student to learn more or to appear to know more. I mean, that could have been a training tactic. I mean, just possibly.
Yeah, but if you think about what was going on, like whole invasion and stuff like that, I don't think he'd leave that up to Obi-Wan to figure out what's going on.
That's true. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, how about a rating? We'll give like a rating of Qui-Gon, overall character depth and quality of character. How about that? I would give it like 6 sabers out of 10. Can we go there?
Alright. What do you think, North?
yeah, I have no comment.
What do you say, Diab?
3 out of 10.
I'm gonna have to go with 3 out of 10 as well, just for him trying to mind trick Watto and then totally failing and breaking the Jedi code. I mean,
Well-
you don't mind trick someone out of cash. I know it's
man,
desperate,
good
but
point.
you don't do that. I'm sorry.
All right, I'm turning off one of my sabers. We're at 5 out of 10 now from Dopey.
He has been convinced.
I do want to point out though, he didn't sacrifice himself really. He just his
Straight up
lightsaber.
lost the duel.
Yeah, he straight up lost. I didn't sound like a Star Wars geek here, but if you read up on what his lightsaber form was, it's apparently really acrobatic like Yoda's, but he was in a small confined space. And the double blade lightsaber really owns in confined spaces. And also, I'm sure you've noticed that in Jedi Academy as well. The
It's not
staff
even
tears
that,
up.
though. I mean, he's so damn old. He fought Darth Maul the first time and jumped on the ship and was completely out of breath from 10 seconds of fighting.
That's true.
I mean, that could just be poor acting and Qui-Gon being fat. I don't know.
He has to lay off cheeseburgers.
Yes.
Lay off the Watto junkyard.
All right, moving on. What's up next?
All right, let's go ahead and knock off Obi-Wan next. Dopey, what do you think of Obi-Wan?
I mean, Obi-Wan was kind of like the complete opposite of Qui-Gon. He started off as kind of the brat, but then as really, he did. He was like the little ponytailed bitch, so to speak. But developed into, I think, a great guy. I mean, he expressed interest in making sure that Anakin was taken care of, and wanted to train him at the end of the movie. Ended up defeating Darth Maul, which was something that his master couldn't do. And I think helped forge the great alliance between the Naboo and the Gungans. So, I mean, all in all, Obi-Wan was a great guy, and I think he did a good job in episode 1.
I do think that he softened up a bit, but it seemed like in most of the movie he was just complaining about crap, and he also did not want Anakin to be trained. So, look at it this way. Qui-Gon doesn't sense anything in the beginning, Obi-Wan does. Obi-Wan senses he's dangerous, Qui-Gon doesn't sense that. He thinks he's the hope for the Jedi. Then the Jedi end up getting wiped out. Maybe we should have listened to Obi-Wan.
That hippie religion.
Yeah, but also in the end, Anakin did end the Sith Lord.
Yeah, he did, but he killed the whole Jedi, and the Empire took over and enslaved the galaxy, basically, before all that happened. So I think he could have just kept it as the normal Republic, and it would have been fine.
I mean, in terms of numbers, he actually, I mean, I know we're getting off topic, jumping into Anakin's later character in several different movies, but, I mean, just to point out a numbers factor, you know, there was a ass ton of Jedi at one point, and it narrowed down to, you know, the Emperor and Darth Vader and Yoda and Obi-Wan. I mean, it was like, you know, an astronomical number of Jedi versus what, you know, Sidious and his little Padawan friends. But it ended up being like 2 of each. So, I mean, it really did kind of narrow down to a very equal playing field for, you know, supposed the Jedi and the Sith. I mean, I guess in retrospect of the movie's timeline.
Yeah, in respect to the movies, you're right, but, like, I'm sure there were a lot of Jedi in hiding and stuff, so I'm pretty sure it wasn't just Yoda and Obi-Wan, but those were probably the 2 main Jedi. Alright, let's get back on track to Obi-Wan. What do you think, North Star?
No, I think he's a big character throughout the whole movie. I mean, he's everywhere throughout the whole movie. He may be the bearer of bad news throughout it, but he's got his important role in that.
What do you think about him killing Darth Maul? Was that just dumb luck or what?
You know, rage can make you do a lot of things, and I think it had to have been rage to. I mean, if you saw your master being killed, that sent me into a rage too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what happened as well. What do you think about just the character as a whole, Diab?
I really liked Obi-Wan. He's probably my favorite character in the entire Star Wars overall. I actually consider him maybe like one of the greatest Jedis ever out of all Jedi. Though he's not as good as Yoda or good at fighting as Yoda. Because if you notice, Obi-Wan's not the best of a fighter.
I kind of view him as like the all-around guy. He's good at diplomacy. He's good at lightsaber fighting. He's got his head in the right spot. He's logical and stuff like that. But in the prequel, he just like didn't really do much.
So if you think about it, he's kind of like a, what do you call him, a Jedi Sentinel, because he's good at all aspects of being a Jedi. Though really, he kind of plays the role of a Jedi counselor in the movies, though.
Yeah. Well, he's like a Jedi Sentinel in like the prequels, but he's more of a consular in the original trilogy. Because then he doesn't do much fighting. It's more just being wise and helping Luke. Alright, well, I don't really have much else to say about him, so let's move on to...
Are we going to rate him?
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. You guys want to rate him?
Let's see, Dopey's rating, we're going to go with, we'll give a 6 out of 10 sabers. Yeah.
North Star.
I'd have to go with like 7 or 8 out of 10. He's a main part of the movie.
Diab?
Completely biased here, 9.5 out of 10.
Half a saber.
Yes!
The one that Obi-Wan chopped in half from Darth Maul's staff. I'll give him a 6.5. Just because I think his character got a lot better in the next 2 prequels than the first one. Okay, let's go to the next character. Natalie Portman as Queen Padme Amidala.
Oh god, she's so hot.
Yo boys.
Yeah, what Diab said. Okay, we're here to discuss the character, not the actress's hotness. Dopey.
Same thing, right?
What's the verdict, Dopey?
Okay, so Queen Padme Amidala. I mean, from a pure, like, dialect standpoint, of, like, I guess how her presence was felt throughout the movie, I mean, she was put down as a child. Yeah, she was too young. Supposed to be, 14 years old as a queen of a planet. So, I mean, that's... I mean, really, we're bumping training broad queens here. This is ridiculous. I think she did a good job with the role that she was given. You know, Queen Amidala as a character was, you know, I mean, it definitely had the decision-making because she was running a planet. She backed, I guess Chancellor, Chancellor Palpatine becoming the new Chancellor because, it helped run the planet better, all that jazz, whatever. Towards the end, it got kind of redundant with the whole, the clone queen that just kind of seemed a little, cheesy. But
She was the double.
Yeah, the
that
double.
was Keira Knightley, right?
The decoy.
Yeah.
Keira Knightley, the good-looking one.
But overall, yeah, I guess it was definitely necessary. Although I wasn't, a huge fan of the character itself. So, nah.
I gotta agree with you there. I feel like, because her double was the main one, and then she suddenly took over, and I didn't really like the character too much, to be honest. I think she was just supposed to be the pretty face that people pay attention to.
Mm-hmm. A 14-year-old pretty face at that, right?
Yeah, because, you think about it, the only thing her character really did was, strategize at the end, which is kind of funny, because, why would a 14-year-old be strategizing how to take over the planet again from the Viceroy? And why would the Jedi listen? I know she's a queen, but, she's 14 years old. What is she going to know?
That's a good point.
Alright, North Star, what do you think?
This movie, she did not play a big role at all. But, she's important in the next two.
Yeah.
So I guess everybody has to have a start.
Yeah, agreed. That makes sense. What do you think, Diab?
For me, she was just, there. Not important, whatever, like how North Star said. But, yeah. I remember I was young in the beginning. I always thought, that Queen was the real Queen. But then when the handmaiden finally said that she's Queen Amidala, that was probably the biggest plot twist of that movie.
Agreed, yeah. Didn't really see that coming, unless you knew that was Natalie Portman, but that's kind of easy to tell. I guess for the kids, it was a big plot twist. I know I was surprised when I first saw it.
It's like, wait, what?
Alright, we got two more characters to go over, then we're going to go over some of the plot. Next character, little boy Anakin. I think we can all agree that his acting was terrible and he was kind of annoying. Anyone here disagree?
It's working! It's working!
Yeah, I'd just rather go and mute that part of the movie and tell me any chance to speak. So, but we didn't get a chance to rate Amidala. That's fine. We'll all just say that she's got 10 sabers out of 10 for hotness. GG. Next.
I'd have to agree.
As far as, Anakin Skywalker as a child, apart from the pod race scene itself, with the racing and, that was a pretty decent scene, I guess, if you're a fan of pod racing.
Pod!
Yeah. But, overall, the character just, I felt it was just terrible. They could have casted, I think, a better kid that had a, a little bit better of a voice, and the acting was pretty mediocre at best.
They should have had Macaulay Culkin.
What was it, Qui-Gon played by Michael Jackson?
How old was he supposed to be in the movie?
Anakin?
9.
Yeah, I think 9 or 10, yeah.
He's 9 years old and already hitting on the Queen. That's pretty funny.
The Queen's only 14. I consider him a bro at that point.
The guy's a pimp now at a young age.
He was spitting mad game, though.
What are midichlorians?
Oh, boy.
I'm pretty sure the actor has said that he regrets being that character in the movie, even though he got a bunch of money for it.
Yeah, Jake Lloyd, he's done several interviews lately just about the fact that he regretted the whole scenario altogether.
Wow, I wouldn't regret it for a minute.
Just for the being a part of it and being in the money, yeah, I wouldn't regret that.
Guarantee you didn't get laid for being Anakin Skywalker the boy.
Hell yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna give the first rating for this, unless anyone else has anything to say.
Go for it.
Alright. 0 out of 10 lightsabers, they're all turned off.
Can't even use a lightsaber.
Mine are still in the box.
Yeah.
No comment.
North Star?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with no comment on him too.
We've given a pope on him.
All right, let's go over the last main important character.
I certainly better be Darth Maul.
Jar Jar Binks.
No, he's not important. Palpatine's more important than him.
All right, Dobby, what's the verdict on Jar Jar?
Jar Jar Binks, he was the clumsy Gungan that, you know, was kind of the third wheel, or eighth wheel, whatever you want to call it, of the whole group. Yeah, I mean, he introduced you to what a Gungan was. He did help in some I think there was some parts of the movie where he actually did become somewhat useful. Maybe it was, you know, during the parts of guiding into the underwater, you know, mission, so to speak. But I mean, all in all, I think the character at the end, everyone was just kind of glad that his last line was spoken, and that was probably out in the battlefield to a howling sneeze or whatever, as he, you know, further became a retard. You know, I mean, what do you want? I mean, it was the character that was made specifically for the boy, as was, you know, Padme, Queen Amidala, being made for the little girls. I mean, they kind of catered one character for different individuals. So, you know, meh. I mean, he was there. He was about as important as Anakin, in my opinion.
I'm pretty sure George Lucas stated that the Jar Jar is the comic relief. How many of you guys here actually found him amusing?
I thought it was hilarious. You know, I found myself rooting for him to either like get hit by a tank or, you know, just get messed up in some way.
Yeah.
When I was young, yeah, I think I did like him, but as you get older, you're like, this guy is just bad.
Too much.
Too much Jar Jar.
When he stepped in the poo, I was hoping he'd slip and fall and break his neck.
Too much.
Does anyone think that the movie would have been any worse if he had been taken out?
Wait, if Jar Jar got taken out?
Yeah, would the movie be worse if he was taken out?
I don't think
any is him living or dying would have salvaged the movie at all.
I mean, from a box office standpoint, The Phantom Menace was a success in the ratings. I think to the Star Wars fans, it was an injustice. I mean, when I say Star Wars fans, I'm not talking about, you know, the guys that bought the DVD and, you know, they call a lightsaber a lifesaver and Darth Vader is Dark Vader. Those are not Star Wars fans. I think the ones that, you know, have followed the storyline have really delved into characters and, you know, really take the movies for something more than just cinema classics. I think they were really let down with the direction Lucas and the rest of the production team went with this movie overall. But he had an important part in episode 3, which I'm sure we'll discuss later. But I mean, as for episode 1, I don't think he really served any purpose.
I can't argue with that. He was just eye candy for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
that's gross, dude.
What? Alright, you know what I meant.
No, I don't know what you meant.
Stay classy, North Star.
Always.
Alright, well I think now we can go over some of the plot controversy that there possibly is. Let's see. One thing we touched up on a little bit earlier was midichlorians. When you guys were old enough to understand what that meant, what did you think about it in the movie?
No, I just watched it like 5 hours ago, and this is the first time I actually understood what midichlorians were.
What was your opinion of it?
Kids are not going to understand what that is. And, you know, I still don't fully understand it. It's math to me. I don't know.
What do you think, Diab?
I have never really paid attention to that stuff.
I wish I could say the same, because it's kind of dumb. Like, the Force was supposed to be mystical and energy and stuff, and now
No, you need this number of midichlorians, and then higher it is, the more aptitude with the Force you are.
I know, but it's just dumb. It's like trying to measure someone's power level in Dragon Ball Z. No.
It's over 9,000!
Yeah, I know. And no hatred towards Dragon Ball Z, but in Star Wars, you shouldn't be able to measure someone's powers by taking a blood sample. You should only be able to know just by either feeling it because you're a Jedi or a Sith, or just witnessing what they can do. I don't think there should be a measurement for it.
Did you guys see that Robot Chicken episode when Darth Vader explained to Luke what midichlorians were?
I don't think I have, unfortunately.
No, I think I missed it.
Oh damn, that was hilarious. I forget what he said, but he said something like on the lines of midichlorians are actually just like bacteria in your blood stream or something.
Yeah, that's what the Force is, giant letdown. Thank you, George Lucas.
Way to go, asshole!
What do you guys say, Dopey?
You know, I watched the movie when I was 13 years old, and I mean, I guess coming from, you know, I mean, I was definitely a Star Wars fan at that age, because I grew up watching episodes 4, 5, and 6. But I first heard about midichlorians, you know, I didn't really know how to react, but it gave me a base of measurement, which, I mean, as a child, you're always asking questions, you know, and that's the premise of being a kid, is finding out information, and that tied the story in for me, at least until I got old enough and started to understand and respect more of what the Force was in those movies. So, I mean, as a child, midichlorians to me was a way to measure, you know, a certain level of ability, and when you find out that his midichlorian count was over Yoda's, it kind of set the tone as to what this kid could potentially be. And he ended up being, you know, one of the greatest characters in, you know, in any kind of story put together. But I mean, now I guess I feel that I wish that was not part of the movie, because you're right, the Force should be something mystical, and it should be something that's not measured by some device that, you know, takes a blood sample. That would mean that anyone out there could obtain this tool. I mean, theoretically speaking, so I wish they would have left that part out.
I mean, pretty much saying anyone can use the Force. It, as like you say, it should be mystical. It should be like you're born to use it. More not like you need to have a certain amount of count in you, then you are able to learn how to use it.
Yeah. Alright, let's go to another plot hole in this. Let's see. Alright, the whole mission that Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan were supposed to do in the beginning was like they were sent by the Senate to like settle some sort of trade dispute. I don't know about you guys, but does that really sound like something a Jedi would be getting involved with? Settling some tax dispute? Doesn't that sound like something some Senate official guy would be doing?
They're ambassadors.
Yeah, but like ambassadors of peace, and they're talking about taxes. This is before they know that they've taken over or they're going to take over the planet, and they're like, just like taxes is money. You don't think they'd send Jedi to settle stuff about that? They send like an accountant or something.
I mean, did they ever actually discuss as to why they chose Jedi and that sort of thing? Like why they were chosen to do that? I mean, they were going there initially. I mean, I don't know what. I guess their initial point was to settle a trade dispute, but they ended up seeing I guess the two people running the Trade Federation. I believe ultimately it was the Force that led them perhaps to, claim some sort of arrest. Maybe I'm not sure.
Or they sent two Jedi because I guess Jedi's seems like you're sending somebody forceful to settle a dispute, then sending someone like the senator that could take a while, as Jedi's could force their hands quickly. But it really backfired on them as they found out and just tried to kill them.
I think it was just thrown in there so they could get the plot started.
It just doesn't make sense, though.
Yeah, I think that's a basis for a lot of the prequels. Is there was a lot of ideas just kind of thrown around, and they just went with it because maybe there was a time crunch. They wanted to get these things produced and out quick.
I agree. I think that's the major flaw of the prequels as a whole, is they had a lot of great ideas, but they didn't know how to make it work together. So then there were plot holes, or it just didn't seem like it was believable or made sense in the Star Wars universe.
Moving on.
Yeah, I guess so. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, I guess we can talk about how there's this whole Senate thing, motion of no confidence that Queen Amidala forces on the current chancellor so they can get Sidious on there. Like, I don't really think... Like, I'm pretty sure I heard George Lucas say this movie was mainly for kids. If you think about it, Jar Jar Binks is in there for the kids, the cool lightsaber action's in there for the adults and the kids, and then they have this boring Senate stuff that, like, even adults will not find interesting. I don't really know why that was in there, besides other to make the plot keep on moving.
The only line I remember from that was the entire Senate shouting, "Vote now!"
Yeah, like, and I didn't get that as a kid, and I didn't get that until, like, the last time I watched the movie, which was a couple of years ago.
I still ignored it.
And that just might have been something specific for the parents. I mean, you know how they factor in, like, you know, puns in child television shows? I mean, the whole politician thing might have just been what they thought, you know, would give parents something to look at, you know, or something that they could relate to as they watched Jar Jar flail around like a retard. I mean, that might have been it.
Are we talking about the same puns that they put in Disney movies?
Yeah, I mean, essentially.
Well, you got a point there, Dopey. It's probably a lot more... I'm yawning. It's probably a lot more interesting to the parents to see, like, people getting all restless in the Senate and stuff like that, because that is actually going on around here in terms of politics. There's always crap going on, and people don't always agree, and I guess that's what they were trying to show the parents, is like, oh, look, you can relate to this, because people are hearing and arguing and want new leadership and reform. So I guess you got a point there.
Dinkelberg.
Alright. Does anyone have something they would like to discuss with the prequel before we end the discussion?
I think as a whole, the fight scene at the very end of the movie was probably one of the people's most favorite parts of the film. You know, you got to see the epic battle between the Sith and the Jedi, kind of what Star Wars is best probably known for, is the lightsaber fights. It's what all the games are mostly based upon, unless you count, you know, Battlefront series and so forth. I think the fighting scene, you know, all in all, was probably one of the best out of the prequels. It wasn't too long, it wasn't too short, and there was a lot of moves and action involved. So, you know, I think that the, you know, Ray Parker, is it Ray Park or Ray Parker? I gotta double check on that. Either way, you know,
Ray Park.
Ray Park, yeah. Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Darth Maul put on a great show in the end and really showcased the skills that the Jedi and the Sith are known for. So, props to them.
The thing I like about this one is they showed more Force usage. They had Force speed and mind trick and all of that. But the thing it was lacking was Harrison Ford. There was no Han Solo. Damn.
Well, I think a lot of fans would have complained if there was like a young Han Solo introduced. They would have been like, no, you gotta separate it from the original trilogy. You can't have the same exact characters. I mean, they already got Obi-Wan and young Anakin and Palpatine and stuff. They don't want to mesh everything together.
Would be completely off then.
Yeah,
he was a young guy in those ones.
It's probably like late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, he would have been too young. I think that's maybe in the other prequels, perhaps, but yeah, no.
Actually, I don't think Han Solo was born yet in the episode 1.
Yeah, there you go.
I believe he was born like in episode 3 or something.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Because, you know, if you think about the time factor between, you know, before the Battle of Yavin and all, Obi-Wan is an old man when, like, before Yavin still. And Han Solo was like maybe 30s or late 30s maybe.
Well, that doesn't make sense though, because I mean, the timeline within episode 3 in of itself is like it's a couple of months, less than a year, and Han Solo references Luke as a kid, and it's clear by episode 4 Han is substantially older than Luke, and Luke was born in episode 3, so yeah, I mean the movie, I think the movie is about 9 months, because that's when Padme announces that she's pregnant, so it has to be 9 months. You know, I think right on the mark. So, I mean, if anything, Han was probably born during episode 2 at the timeline between 2 and 3.
Yeah, we have to look at a timeline, maybe like it's at Wikipedia or something.
Hold on, I'm getting there.
Save it for next time, I think.
Also, I want to just add, the fight scene between Maul and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. I mean, as much as it showcases Jedi and what they can do, you think about it, how it could have went down. They could have killed Maul right when he came out, because Maul cannot deflect a lot of blaster bolts.
Well, I'm not sure if we can really judge how well he'd be blocking. I mean, if you think about it, a double-bladed lightsaber can cover more ground for blocking, so who knows? He might have been able to do it.
Yeah, but remember, no Jedi is invincible to a blaster.
Well, yeah.
I mean, when you're a kid, you think nothing can kill a Jedi other than a Sith. But then as you get older, and like in today's games, you find out even just a mere trooper can take out a person who uses a lightsaber.
Well, yeah, I think the thing is the Jedi weren't willing to risk everybody's lives, though, and he still had to get the Viceroy and everything, so they didn't want to risk too many lives. But yeah, you got a point there. They probably could have, if they sacrificed like everybody, he might have been able to kill him. And I gotta say, the fight scene was really well choreographed, and I'm sure everyone was like really dazzled by it and in awe when they were watching it, because it's like, in terms of choreography, it was a lot better than the original trilogy, but that's only because of the time frame in terms of when they were filmed and stuff. And I gotta say, I really liked the moment where Obi-Wan like screamed out in rage when he killed Qui-Gon. I thought that was a lot of really good emotion and believable acting.
Definitely.
Yeah, Evan McGregor was probably the best actor for Obi-Wan.
Alright, well, I think that's going to be it. Thanks for tuning in, guys, in our Episode 1 prequel discussion. We'll be discussing Episode 2 in the next podcast, and it will be released in a few weeks to a month.
Depends how long it takes us to record and edit.
Indeed.